Good afternoon and welcome to the Sunset Safari, and also happy World Wildlife Day for all of you conservationists out there and anybody that just loves to partake. What an incredible way to start the afternoon with a pack of wild dogs. My name is Tayla March, and on camera with me today is Senzo. And it's been a few months since the last time we drove together, so I'm looking forward to this exciting time. Senzo, however, has disappointed me straight off the bat because he hasn't worn any eccentric outfits today. I thought we were going to have all sorts of amazing things. Next time, though, he's just easing back into it. Remember, this is a live and interactive safari, so if you do have any questions, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter if you'd like to talk to us, or you can also talk to us via the YouTube chat. But that's all from me. I suppose the wild dogs are a little bit more important, don't you think? I just thought I'd try to steal the show there, just for a little bit, though. Now, I'm going to need your help. Please, pretty please, because I don't know which pack of dogs this is. Remember, I have just come back from Kenya, and I'm a bit out of touch with all the things that are going on in the Sabi Sand. And there are 9 wild dogs here, if that helps. I can't even remember how big the various packs were. There was the Investec pack, the Sand pack, the Breakaways, all sorts of wonderful critters. Now, they've been quite hot. Ooh, what's everybody heard? They're up and down quite a bit, which is good news to me. So they're not sleeping soundly like hounds can often do. They've also been up and down in mud wallows trying to cool themselves off. And it doesn't look like they've really eaten anything. Maybe there's no blood or anything. They haven't got big bulging bellies, as you can see. So perhaps we might be in for some action. Now, we look at these dogs, and the first thing that you notice is their very Mickey Mouse shaped sort of ears. And Bianca, you've said, wow, look at their ears. Well, it's very important for a wild dog to have super hearing. So the way that their ears are large and concave in shape is very important. And it helps pick up sound from all directions. And they need that. Because remember, these dogs don't stalk their prey like a leopard or lion does. They need to try and chase it down. So if they can hear a crack of a branch or a young kudu pulling a leaf off of a tree, that's basically a death sentence to the animal. Because these creatures have got a very, very high success rate. They're one of the most successful when it comes to hunting. So I'm hoping that if we manage to stick with them, we might see something. Now, their ears are pricked and they keep looking around. I did see some fresh tracks of elephants as we were driving up this way. So I don't know if there's maybe a herd of elephants moving in the distance. There could potentially be another predator around. It could be a number of different things. Right, but we'll get into that in a little bit. We're going to definitely stay with these dogs and see how they go. And if they get in the move, we're going to call Scotty D on over to come and help us keep up with them. How fun would that be? The two of us chasing after dogs, crashing through the bushes as we chase after dogs is probably more accurate. But off you go. And we've got one who's enjoying a sassy Saturday dip in a pool. Of course, it's just a mud wallow that's filled up after all the rain we've had. I bet that they are happy about that. Now, it's not uncommon to see hyenas, to see wild dogs cooling themselves off in a pool of water, especially on a hot day like today. Maybe they did get something to eat. Maybe they got something small like a steenbok or a duiker. And for 9 dogs, that really wouldn't do too much, but it would just be enough to keep them going. So for a small meal for such a large pack of dogs, probably going to go off and hunt again. And this is a very good area for impala. There are often large herds around in this area. Not shy to get its body completely covered. Now, Bridget, you're wondering what is the largest prey that a pack of wild dogs could bring down. Well, they've been recorded bringing down wildebeest. Juvenile wildebeest seems to be on their menu. Again, you could have young waterbuck, young zebra. I think a fully grown zebra would be a bit of a challenge for a group of wild dogs because they're feisty creatures. So I would say probably a sub-adult wildebeest is about as big as it gets. I'm trying to think. I haven't even seen them take down a wildebeest. What is the largest prey I've seen wild dog take down? I mean, we normally see them in the Sabi Sand bringing down young kudu, lots of duikers, steenbok, scrub hares, and impala, bushbuck, and yala. So yeah, so they take down a number of different things. I suppose it just depends on what area they are in. Because remember, the bigger the prey is, the more technique you need to have. So yeah, so it kind of just depends. Right, had a dip. I'm going to go roll around in the sand now. There's someone else that's still out with us this afternoon, and that's, of course, Steve-O. He's on bushwalk. Let's go and see if he's managed to find Daryl. How cool is it that we can have one of the most endangered carnivores in Africa for World Wildlife Day? I think they must have known, and they've made an appearance. Now, I need you all to put your hands together and give a big round of applause to Senzo, because he was the one who actually found them. All credit goes to him. He'd gone to Gowrie Gate to collect some goods, and on his way back, he saw a pack of dogs. He actually came running to my room. He said, Tayla, there's dogs in the sands, there's dogs. And I thought, oh my goodness, we're going to have to call the Sabi Sand Wildtuin, because I thought maybe it was some dogs that had got in from the communities, because unfortunately the reality is that there are a lot of domesticated dogs that come in. And he was like, no, wild dogs. And I was so excited, because I can't even tell you when last I saw a wild dog. It has been months and months. I can't remember my last sighting of them, in fact, which is pretty sad, but I'm happy to be spending the afternoon with them. Now, we're sitting with these dogs, and you can see that most of them are adults. There might be some sub-adults in here, but they're all lying flat, so it's a bit difficult to tell when they're all sprawled out like that. Dale, you're wondering where would they keep their babies? So wild dogs will breed once a year, and they typically use termite mounds as den sites. So I'm trying to think when they do start denning. No, it should be coming into winter, in fact, if I'm not mistaken. It has been some time, though, since I've seen them. I haven't seen wild dog puppies in a very, very long time. The last pack of dogs that I saw with puppies was the Toulon pack, and that was probably mid-2016. So that should be about right. I think they do breed in winter. A very short gestation period, so only between 2 and 2.5 months. And they'll keep them in that termite mound for the first couple of weeks of their life. So, Dale, I don't know if you know this, but it's in fact only one pair of dogs that breed. So they don't all breed with one another. There's an alpha male and an alpha female, and they're the ones that will mate with one another, and then the rest of the pack will actually help raise those young. So they've got a relatively good chance of survival. Can you imagine having lots and lots of other people running around looking after your kids for you as well? I think it's quite cool. But again, the reality is with predators and their youngsters and wild dogs being lower down on the predator hierarchy, if lions come through, they'll kill them. There are many, many different other predators that will kill wild dog pups. So they have to be very, very careful. And they can have quite a few pups too. The biggest pack of puppies I've ever seen must have been about 13, again, the Toulon pack, which was pretty spectacular to see. Those fuzzy little things wagging their tails, so excited when the rest of the family comes home. And then I think the record is either 21 or 23 in one go, which is quite a lot. Now, they're pretty relaxed at the moment, so it's difficult to kind of get a feel of the various personalities within this pack. But, Sarah, you've asked about the sort of social hierarchy. So you've got the dominant male and you've got the dominant female. And then other than that, you don't really see too much bullying going on with dogs. There's a lot of playfulness. With wild dogs, playing is very, very important. It helps strengthen the bond. And it gives them a better chance of successfully hunting and successfully bringing something down. So other than those two, there's not too much dominance. Everyone sort of bows down to the two of them. Unless, of course, you've got someone coming on, I don't know, that wants to maybe challenge the male. But I've never seen that happening. I've just read about those sort of instances. One thing that I was really sad was that I really, really, really wanted to see wild dogs in the Mara. And I tried my absolute best to go and find some. And we always heard the stories of the small group of dogs that would hang around the Olololo Gate and just below the escarpment, but quite far north, not quite in the triangle. And then apparently there was another pack of dogs right in the southeastern corner of the Masai Mara National Reserve. And during the day, when we'd go out for those full days, when we weren't broadcasting the show as we are now, I'd zip all the way down there and scan around and try and find them. See, there was no signal, so we couldn't do it during the show. But I didn't ever have any luck. I think I just kept missing them. But I saw some pictures of them, and they looked really, really muscly in comparison. Oh, I heard something, and I wasn't sure what it was, and it happens to be, I think, a group of people. I think there might be some guests coming on safari, or perhaps there's some staff that are heading home for the afternoon. I can hear the giggling. Yes, it is some of the staff, obviously, from Djuma that are coming through now to head home back outside the gate. And they'll be very excited to see these wild dogs. Right. Now, Scott is bundu bashing, and I don't know if he's let you on the little secret that I told him a little earlier. We are indeed, and one is up just in time to watch him sit down. It was quite a big male, in fact. But again, we haven't seen them all standing up next to one another, so it's making it quite difficult to figure out who exactly we've got here. But we'll get there. We'll figure it out eventually. It's nice just to see such a large pack of dogs. So we're obviously talking about how lots of domesticated dogs make their way in from the communities. And unfortunately, when they are found, they do have to be put down, because domestic dogs, and especially out here where inoculations against certain diseases don't often get done, they pass them on to a variety of the wildlife out here. So wild dogs take a huge knock from rabies and canine distemper. It's quite terrible when they do get something like that. And then you could lose an entire pack that way, because they are such sociable creatures. So it's very, very sad, but I'm very, very happy to see all of them out here. Now, that dog on the right-hand side looks quite old. I don't know if you all agree with me. Don't you think? And there's that mud on its back legs. I think it might be a female. We're trying to see. Speckled fur there. It doesn't look like a young dog. Sorry, Faith. I was just quickly listening to an update on the Game Drive radio. Do you mind repeating all of that to me? I apologize. I can't multitask it yet. I'm just still getting used to the Game Drive radio. Crafty. There we go. You're wondering if only one pair is mating, does it mean that they're all related? No, not necessarily, because new packs can form, and we do see breakaways forming every now and then. But I suppose it doesn't really matter if they are all related or not, because there is only one pair that's going to be doing the breeding. But if packs get really, really large, actually, well, I'll tell you an interesting story very quickly. When I was working in Zambia, the owners of the camp that we were running, they had a property in Zimbabwe, and I think I may have told you the story before. And essentially, they had a massive piece of land. I forget how large it was, but it was huge, and it was all fenced off. And they had dogs, wild dogs, and amongst all the other animals that you get in Africa, all the indigenous species. And this pack of dogs was so interesting. They would breed and breed and breed, and they'd get to quite big. They'd get to like 30, up between 30 and 50 of them all together. And then all of a sudden, some disease would come through. Normally it was rabies or canine distemper, and would bring the pack down. And he said this would happen every 2 to 3 years. The pack would get really big, and then they'd lose almost all of them. There'd only be 4 or 5 adults left. And this kept going. And he said it kept happening. He watched it happen over 10 years, which was quite amazing. And I don't know if it was nature trying to control the size of a pack of dogs, whether there's supposed to be that many in a pack. I'm not so sure. I can't imagine how many impalas they would eat an entire year. Imagine having 30 to 50 wild dogs running around on a property. It was massive. It was a couple of 100,000 hectares in size, so not a small property at all. And there they never really introduced any new genetics. He just said he just kept the same group of dogs. So maybe there it was a problem. Maybe it was a weakness because they weren't bringing in new genetics. But out here, there are other packs of dogs. And then, of course, you've got the dogs coming in from Kruger and all sorts over. So at some point you're going to find a new or some more new genetics getting in some way or another. Now, they don't live for too long. I mean, they typically live to between 10 and 12 years, sort of the size of the age of a big dog. And life is really tough for them out here. Brent was not very lucky. That's the wrong word to see, but it was a very sad sighting to watch a lion one of the Styx lionesses take a wild dog and kill it. But it's also sort of a privilege to see something like that, because I don't think there are many guides out there that they can say that they've actually witnessed a wild dog being killed by another predator. I mean, they normally give hyenas a bit of a hiding, and well, the hyenas do the same thing to them every now and then. I don't even know where I was going with that. Where's my goldfish memory today? I should have taken a nap, because now I can't even remember what we were talking about. Okay, well, I'll try and gather my thoughts as to why I was telling you that story. I'm going to send you back to Steve, who's probably a lot more collected than I am. I think I'm exciting myself so much that I can't even remember what I'm supposed to be saying today. I think where I was going with that story was how new genetics could be introduced into a pack. I think that's where I was going. So I was going to say disease, and then, of course, predators, and then, well, just, I suppose, a little takeover. But I actually cannot even put my thoughts together. Imagine what's going to happen when these dogs get up and start chasing after animals. Sensor's going to have to start talking and telling you things, because I'm just going to be so excited. I won't know what to do with myself. And there are some of the most exciting animals out here in Africa, even though they are sleeping at the moment. Just remember, like even with sleeping lions, with sleeping leopards, you could literally have an impala, have anything run out, and off they go. Now, canine, which I think is a fitting name for the animals that we're looking at, you're wondering why are these dogs becoming extinct. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to say that humans are the problem here, like with most of our animals going extinct, which is very sad to say, but, you know, we're not going to lie. So human-wildlife contact is another one. Of course, as we know, as the world starts to expand, there are less and less natural areas. We're trying to make room for all the people that are on this planet. And unfortunately, we're digging into these natural wild areas. So firstly, it's habitat loss is a big one. And then sometimes dogs go in and they can hassle farmers too with sheep and things like that. But for instance, say like a big farming community in the Eastern Cape, there aren't any natural wild dogs anymore, and everybody's got fences up. So they're more worried about jackals and caracal and leopards and things coming in to take their stock. But for example, I mean, there's nothing stopping a pack of wild dogs in Kenya running through and, you know, stealing a goat or a sheep or something along those lines. And then, of course, disease. Disease is a massive one, because a lot of like we've just spoken about, the dogs that aren't being inoculated against certain diseases, they then pass them on. And it's no secret that there are lots and lots of dogs, for instance, in Kenya. I mean, there's plenty of video footages of dogs going out and hassling lions and doing all these crazy things. Super brave. But they'll pass on again the diseases to all these various animals. So that's one of the very many reasons and why they're being wiped out. Oh, that's nice. Yes, you can just stand there. That's obviously a male. Very nice. You're going to need a big drink of water after that. Great framing, Senzo. Looks healthy. I don't know, I'm not a vet, but I'm going to go with that. Looks healthy. All in check there. Let's see, might be a good sign for us if he's going to get up. I mean, normally with lions, when they're about to wake up, they yawn, they start stretching, they start grooming one another, they groom themselves, they relieve themselves. Let's see if this is going to be the case with the dogs. This fella seems to be quite certain. Oh, got a slight limp though. Say back left leg. He'll be all right. You can imagine when you are running at speeds like the dogs do, if you step in a hole funny, you can quite easily just jar your leg, or if you step on a thorn, it'll probably be a bit painful. But it's nothing that a little bit of adrenaline can't fix. And I bet that they have lots of adrenaline pumping through their veins when they're on the go. Now, I don't think Scott's too far away from us. He's on the search trying to find that leopard that's left the tracks in the road. Mike actually saw Mike Grover and said that, well, not him, I think it was actually a female that was walking up the road. So I hope that Scott manages to find whoever was leaving those tracks. We're looking at a older dog too. Not just by the yellow stained teeth and slightly worn, but also look at all the grey around the muzzle. I think this might be a female. I haven't seen just yet. You can hear some very angry crowned lapwings. They're very, very upset, flying over the dogs, not impressed with them laying around here. I think this could be maybe the alpha female. I'm just looking very tatty. Doesn't seem to be too big, but again, it could be a male. It's quite hard to tell, so we won't make too many more assumptions. We'll actually wait for them to get up, and then hopefully we'll be able to figure it all out. Now, something that we were chatting about earlier, but no problem. I totally understand that you can sometimes miss things, but Proud Cat Mummy, you're wondering about the age as to wild dogs can get. So they can, it's almost like, it's like a domesticated dog is essentially. So anywhere between 10 and 12 years is typically the lifespan out here. But again, it's a tough one. It's a hard one. See, I was investigating with my binoculars, looking at teeth and all sorts of things to try and figure out what's going on and who this pack is. But I haven't really seen too many serious identifying features. But there was another wild dog in this pack, one of the males, the one that was standing up and using the luxury facilities. As I pointed out to you, I said he looks a little bit grey as well. And that's a way you can age animals. You always, of course, look at their teeth. Their teeth tell a serious story. Their ears can also tell a story. But when you ask something like, for instance, a wild dog and a seriously quick eater scrapping around a carcass, every now and then it wouldn't surprise me if you got a nick in the ear. But then also, like how your dogs, when they get older at home, you start to see them going grey. Wild dogs are very much the same. Still resting. I'm being patient. I'm trying to be as patient as I can because I know how rewarding it is to stick with dogs until they get active. So please send on through your questions, #Safari Live on Twitter, or you can also talk to us via the YouTube chat. Maybe this is your first time ever seeing wild dogs. Or perhaps you can tell me, when was the last time a pack of wild dogs was seen? You can let me know like that too. And we haven't figured out yet which pack of dogs this is. We are waiting for them to get up. And then I believe a few of you got your ID cards ready. And I'm just trying to think, out of the big packs, I'm pretty sure it's the sand pack that's relatively large. I don't know if the Investec pack is still quite big. Yeah, just rolling over again. Come on, dogs. Let's get this party on a roll. It's Saturday. Now, Paul, this is a hard one to answer, actually. You're asking about territories and if these dogs do have territories, how large can they get? Well, because they can chase prey for kilometers and kilometers and kilometers on end, they've got a relatively sort of large, I don't know if I'd call it a territory, I'd probably call it more of a home range, just because they're constantly on the go. So you could see this pack of dogs here now, and then you could also see them all the way down on Cheetah Plains in 20 minutes. So they can move huge distances. So it ranges from, I would say, 400 to 1,000 square kilometers. That's how big a wild dog sort of home range can be. I mean, 50 kilometers to them is nothing. They can move through that very, very, very quickly, which is pretty spectacular. If you've ever seen wild dogs on a hunt and how difficult it is for us to keep up with them. And that's why I was so excited to try and find wild dogs in Kenya, because I thought there's no ways I'm going to lose these animals. Never. Not with the open plains. The only way I'd probably lose them is if I got stuck, which in reality is a serious possibility. So, but still pretty spectacular. I can't believe that it's how long have I been back at work? 3 days now, day 3. And I've had a leopard every game drive, or barring one. And then I've also had, and then we've got these wild dogs, of course. I mean, how's my luck? Serious welcome home. And then, of course, Daryl the elephant being around. That's pretty spectacular as well. But it's cool now. The cloud cover is upon us, and it seems to be moving in quite quickly, you can see. All those lovely clouds. Didn't look like anything threatening just yet. Some of them dark and gloomy. There's the big antenna that you just saw. But good for us, because it was very, very hot. I don't actually even know what the temperature was. I wasn't listening when Faith told me what the temperature was today, I must be honest. And but I'm going to guess it was between 28 and 30 degrees Celsius at one point. Now I don't think it's that at all. It's probably only about 25, 26 degrees Celsius, maybe even a little bit less, because there's a nice cool breeze at the moment. So the internet is wrong. The internet is telling us that it's 29 degrees Celsius. There's no ways it's 29, because I'd be sweating and these dogs would be panting seriously. And you can see, yeah, they're breathing relatively quickly, but there's no need for them to sit in the water. Well, we've just paused for a moment. Dad jokes. Sometimes it's quite nice to have a closer look, and it's not often that we get to see wild dogs sitting still. Did you see how blunt those claws were? Now, obviously with cats, they retract their claws and keep them tucked away nicely in a sheath so that they stay nice and sharp, and they spend quite a bit of time sharpening them up on trees, and wild dogs don't do that. Cheetah don't do it either. They don't need to have sharp claws. They need to have studs, well, at the bottom of their paws, I suppose, to help them grip on the ground. They use them for a completely different reason. So that's quite nice to have a little look at those powerful feet. Now, Piney, an interesting question from you this afternoon, and it's with regards to pack members identifying one another. Do they just do it via scent, or is it by, I think the pattern on their coat was the other thing that you gave. I reckon it's a combination of scent by eyesight, whether they can look at a dog and see its pattern, I don't know. I think they would probably get their scent first, if anything, and then they probably vocally communicate with one another too. So you might find if there is a dog that's, say, been separated from its pack and is trying to find its way back, it's probably going to try and make some sort of vocalizations in order to get the attention, to try and figure out where they've gone. But scent plays a huge part in not only picking up the scent of prey, but as you rightfully said, being able to smell one another too. And the scent is something that I'm getting of these dogs. It's not my favorite. It smells like sweet, stinky cheese and a sock. I don't know. It's not nice. It's not great. I think Brent likes the smell a lot. I don't find the appeal at all. Ooh. Now, seeing as we're talking about the sense of smell, and we have got wet wild dogs here. So, Justin, you're lucky today. You're wondering if the wet wild dogs smell worse than wet domestic dogs. I'm going to have to go with wet wild dogs, just because of that sweet scent that they have. And I don't know what it is that produces that. Is it because, well, they don't have a bath? And I suppose our domestic dogs are fairly clean. We often take them to the parlor. We get their coats shaved. Some of the dogs are there, well, yes, as I just said, their coats shaved. They get washed with shampoos that have all sorts of scents in them. So I don't actually know why they get that sort of sweet scent to them. But wet wild dogs, ooh, just the thought of it is making me feel queasy. But I have smelt disgusting domestic dogs too, and I can only talk about my dogs because growing up in a farm, they used to roll in all the chicken poop and the Egyptian geese poop, anything they could find, anything that had died, they'll be rolling in that too, a dead rat, dead snake, you name it. So it's a close call. So maybe it also depends on what they've been rolling in. And we try and describe how some of the stagnant water also smells after some time as well. So I think it goes hand in hand, but just the natural stench of a wild dog is not great. I can promise you right now. I don't know why. I don't know. Should we ask Steve and Scott if they like the smell of a wild dog? Senzo, do you like the smell of a wild dog? He's nodding. What is it with men and the scent of a wild dog? Because I don't think Jamie likes it. I certainly do not like it at all. I'm trying to think. Who else has smelt wild dogs in FC? Is Kirsten in Final Control? She's seen wild dogs. Is Jerry there? No one. Oh, Jerry's here. Jerry, do you like the smell of wild dogs? Jerry's our producer. She's sitting in Final Control. Jerry likes the smell of the wild dogs. Oh my goodness. No. Sis, it does not appeal to my nostrils. I wish I could bottle some of the scent and somehow put it on the interweb so you could all open it and have a waft of it. I can promise you don't go, wild dogs. That's for sure. Well, I don't. I really think it smells like sweaty old socks and cheese. I don't really know how else to describe it. It's strange. And don't worry, the dogs don't seem to be offended by me talking about how they stink either. But they roll in lots of things. We've seen leopards rolling around. We see lions rolling around in different types of dung. Obviously, it's to try and mask their scent. Now, we were talking about whether they've eaten or not, and Matt, you're wondering if I think it looks like they're already full. I don't think they've got bursting bellies, and some of them have, that one's got a big belly, but some of them have got bigger bellies than others. So it's a bit hard to tell. I mean, I've seen wild dogs after they've feasted on, say, an impala, and their bellies are normally a lot more swollen than that. So maybe they caught something small early this morning, and then they went on the move, and then they decided to settle down somewhere around here. I don't also remember seeing much game in this area where we are right now, and typically it's filled with impalas, but I didn't see many running around here this morning. So I don't think, if they have eaten something, I don't think it's going to be very much. And wild dogs, if it is just a small meal, they'll hunt in the morning and they'll hunt in the afternoon. So there's still a chance for them to get up and go on the move. Or maybe they're just going to stay here for the whole day. That would be nice, though, because that means we could potentially have wild dog first thing tomorrow morning, which is always a joy. I hope they do hang around, because we don't get to see them very often. It's a real special sight. Look at all those ticks in that dog's ear. Can you see them? Just every now and then, if it flicks it up kindly to us. Okay, now we can't see it. Okay, that'll be the next thing we talk about. We'll try and have a look in one of the dog's ears and see all the parasites. But off you go to Steve to find out why, or not why, if he likes the scent of a wild dog. Being amazing as normal. I actually can't wait to see him. I hope I get a chance to see him over the next few weeks to see how much he has grown. But our dogs aren't doing too much still. They're still just relaxing and just enjoying the afternoon sun. We've got some nice golden light on them now, just catching those beautiful sort of chestnut coloured eyes. They're very stunning eyes. That's actually the only colour I've ever seen on a wild dog before. Is that sort of, is it chestnut? Would you say chestnut? No. What other colours could we use to describe the eyes of a wild dog? They are lovely. You can help me. You can hashtag Safari Live. Perhaps your colour palette is a bit more advanced than mine. Look at that light just catching it there. That's gorgeous. Really, really gorgeous. They must feel like they're looking into your soul when they do stare at you like that. And that one's got very white, shiny teeth. In very good condition too. But dry noses, that's not normally a good sign. Maybe it's just a bit crusty because they have been sitting in the mud. That could be a possibility. I mean, typically with dogs, and we do the same thing with buffaloes, if they've got a wet nose, it means they're in good nick. Now, we were looking, and we had a fantastic close-up a little while ago. Shall we see if we can have another look? Senzo, where shall we go? Let me go back. I don't know if there's no more lying on the road, so it's hard to have a look at their feet. Let's see if we can get a little gap here. What about that? Maybe. We'll give it a bash. The reason why I want to have a closer look at their feet is because Sharon was wondering how do they keep their nails, I suppose, filed so perfectly. You can't see them too well, but better than nothing. It's just purely from running on the various substrates. So going from gravel to grass to sand. They're constantly on the move. Their feet do take a bit of a beating. I'd imagine their pads underneath their feet as well are quite tough and used to the various terrains. So that's all it is. It's just filing it down naturally. They don't need to get the nails clipped like our domestic dogs do. Again, also some nice white teeth. See, there's that beautiful golden light. Come on, you lot. Please wake up. You can see you want to. I mean, they haven't been fast asleep once. They're up and down, up and down. And every time a bird alarms, a francolin or something gets a fright, you will see that they pop their heads up, kind of like cheetah, always looking around. not wanting to go in too much of a comatose sleep, although there's one or two that have nestled themselves in the grass quite nicely. I'm a little bit envious. And some bugs annoying them too, and twitching their ears. But not too many today. The biting flies don't seem to be out in full force. And someone that would be affected by the biting flies, perhaps more than these wild dogs and myself and Senzo, is Steve, because he's on walk. Let's go see if he's got a quarry branch to swat them away. Now, I'm a little bit nervous because for the first time we've been in the sighting, these dogs seem to be fast asleep. Just every now and then popping their heads up and down. Hopefully it won't be too long-lived, because I'm starting to feel just as tired as these dogs. Just joking, that was a fake yawn, that wasn't real. I've got way too much energy to be tired. Now, we were talking about the puppies a little bit earlier, and where they den and all those perhaps wonderful things. But Carol, you were wondering about the puppies, if their pattern on their coats is the same as the adults. It's fairly similar, but what I'm going to do is, Carol, I'm going to try and talk and Google at the same time. Let me Google. I don't really have much signal. My phone likes to freeze. Wild dog puppies, because you have to see how cute they are. I don't know if you've ever seen a wild dog puppy before, but yeah, their coloration is fairly similar. It doesn't change very much at all. So I'm going to show you the black hair around the face is always quite interesting though. I've only ever seen wild dog puppies when they're maybe 2 to 3 weeks old, a little bit older than that perhaps, not when they're really, really teeny tiny. Here's a great one. Have a look at this. I should probably put my phone on flight mode, unfortunately. Let's open that one. Oh, snap. There we go. How cute are those things? It's not the clearest picture, I'm afraid. Sorry, there's a slight glare on my phone. But you can see the white still comes through. And then as they get a little bit older, you might see different patches of brown coming through. But very much like the adults, basically. So it's quite cool. They're very, very sweet. Now, I don't think Djuma has ever been fortunate enough to have a pack of dogs den on the property. Well, definitely not since I've been here. So let's hope that they do stick around and try and find a spot. They do like to use the same dens over and over, but you never know. Or maybe a few years ago they were denning here, but it hasn't been for the last 3 years, I don't think. Now, take care. I'm just trying to look at the dogs now. You're wondering if they always have black muzzles. Typically, I don't think I've ever seen a wild dog with sort of any patches on its face. Nothing like that. So typically that muzzle is quite nice and dark. And then the coloration varies sort of from the eyes up. You might get some that have white patches close to their face. Might be sort of more tawny brown. I mean, I've seen some dogs that have a lot of white on them, and it looks quite strange. And in fact, I think there is a dog from one of the packs that we do see that has got an unusual amount of white on it. Perhaps somebody could pop a screenshot onto Twitter so everybody can have a look if you know which dog I'm talking about. I'm so sorry I'm not being very helpful in terms of which pack it's from. I just can't remember. If I must be honest, it's so strange coming back to an area that you are so used to, but trying to remember all the characters that come into the area and move around. But you can see, panting, fast asleep, flat. Don't look like they're going to get up and do anything just yet. But we've got our patience pants on, and we are going to sit it out. I feel as though we've committed almost 2 hours already. We can't give up just yet. Now, we did see the wild dogs in a mud wallow just a little while ago when we first arrived, and Millie, who's only 8 years old, you've asked if they like swimming. Yes, they do. They love swimming. It's one of their favorite things to do, especially on a really, really nice hot day. They will jump on in the water and they will sit around the mud wallows. But when I was working down at Sabi, there was a big dam, and we'd often see them sort of chest deep in the water running around, splashing one another. And hyenas will do a similar thing too. Who remembers that incredible sighting I had where a couple of the sub-adult hyenas were chasing one another around, and they just jumped literally and bomb dropped straight into one of the drainage lines? That was quite funny. So both of those species are quite playful with one another, and they're not afraid of water at all. They quite enjoy it, in fact. It's a nice way to cool down in the mud, lots of water, which is awesome, kind of like us. Oh, goodness, Steve is on a roll today. As you know, he's been walking around. He's actually gone quite far, in fact. Well done, Steve. Give us a shout if you need a ride on home. I'll be your Uber. But apparently he's got something else to show you. Senzo and I have now been sitting here for such a long time, we're playing around with a camera and my ring. But guess what? One dog has woken up, thank goodness. And we're all prepared. I promise the infrared lights are on and fastened tight in case we need to go racing about. So you can see that this dog doesn't look like it's eaten anything. So that's why I was saying to you earlier that if they did catch something, it was something quite small, and perhaps this one got in there a bit late and it didn't get anything at all. But I'm not sure what they're going to get up to yet. We're still just waiting. Now, this is the time where those dogs' ears will be working very, very hard. They'll be twisting, they'll be turning, be listening for all sorts of things. Like I said, those impala, bushbuck, somebody giving off an alarm call. That's going to be what they're going to be wanting to go after. But we'll have to just be patient and see where they go from here. The rest of the pack is sitting, I say that, and as I said, the rest of the pack is sitting down. One of the dogs actually stands up, another one. A big male. Hello, boy. Now, Scarlett, you've asked about whether I think that there are any similarities between dingoes and wild dogs. Well, I suppose the only similarity there is that they're descendants of wolves. Other than that, I can't say that when I look at an African wild dog, they remind me of a dingo. I don't know if I have any battery on my mobile device. Let me Google a picture of a dingo. I've only seen a dingo once, and it was laying flat. It was at a rehabilitation center that I actually saw one. And go dingo. I've never really seen dingoes before. Let's check. Let's see if I can load it. But also haven't got the greatest internet reception here. Oh, no, that's fine. No, to me, a dingo looks like something else. I shall show you some pictures if you would like to have a look. Let's open that one. There's a dingo. Should we turn it sideways so you can get it full screen? So, that doesn't look like a wild dog. I don't really know what kind of dog that looks like. It almost looks like it's got a husky face, if anything, with a German Shepherd body, but not quite such a long coat. So, yeah, so there we go. So, in terms of similarities, perhaps their hunting strategies, I don't know, but I don't even know if dingoes live in family groups, in fact. I actually don't know very much about dingoes at all. I'll have to do some research about that, and I'll get back to you. But in terms of looks, no, I can't say so. Look at this fur file. This fur file has been up and down the entire afternoon. Don't tell me that we're about to watch a spur fowl versus an African wild dog. That would just honestly be the most ridiculous thing ever. But I seem to attract special sightings like this. I'm quite fortunate to say that I've seen the weirdest and the most wonderful things. Now, the wild dog's not interested in that bird. I think what's happened there is maybe that spur fowl was just trying to give that dog a fright so that it could go and peck at those seeds that are perhaps on the edge of the road. That was bizarre. That was really funny to see. The dog's not bothered at all by the bird. Really not taking any notice whatsoever. But I don't know if it is the same spur fowl, but there was one that's been up and down and moved right through the dogs. Dogs didn't even care whatsoever. And then came running down the road and gave them a fright because we obviously had a wide frame of all the wild dogs, and Faith quickly said, "Oh, those dogs, are they on the hunt? Are they on the hunt?" And it was quite exciting because they all jumped up, and I went, "No, it was just a spur fowl that gave them all a fright." And I think it's the same one tormenting the dogs this afternoon. That was really quite funny. What an awesome little interaction. This thing is not sure about itself. Ubombo girl, you said you can never get enough of those ears. They're absolutely beautiful. Lots and lots of little muscles helping them move around as well. You can see the light is just starting to fade now. Now the canine, you're wondering how tall is the African wild dog? I would say in height, maybe between 60 and 70 centimeters, maybe a little bit more than that. Am I right? Just sort of higher, a bit taller than knee high, maybe even a little bit bigger than that, in fact. Just completely ignore it. I don't have my mammals book, so I can't check exactly statistics. But I would imagine it'd be the size of sort of a large, the height of a large dog, not the weight. I wouldn't imagine these guys weigh anything more than about 30 kilograms, maybe even, probably even less than that, probably between, maybe, I don't even know. I can't remember all these facts. It's crazy how my mind has gone completely blank after 6 months of not talking about the same animal. Yeah, I would say average weight, maybe between 15 and 20 kilograms, maybe a little bit more than that. Maybe not 30 kilograms. Maybe I was getting a bit excited there. Sorry, everybody. I'm talking absolute hogwash to you all today. Let's just enjoy the pretty dog. There we go. Our bird's giving a call now. I think it was responding to... What a character that spurfowl was. Let's see, where are you going to go? Yes, I would like it if you would go and chase that spurfowl, because I feel like it's given you enough trouble for the entire day. Well, we got one dog trotting down the road. The others are still flat, and I know Steve should be close to home now because the light is fading. Let's go and see if he needs that ride. Well, their ears are twitching, that's for sure, and a couple of them keep popping up and down and sort of jumping on one another. So I'm hoping that they're going to sort of do the greeting ceremony that they normally do to rally one another up before they go out on the move. So I suppose, again, it's just the patience game. They're very much up and down, and it's not like they can't hunt tonight because we've just had a full moon. So it's going to be particularly bright. And now, I know that all the textbooks say that these dogs typically hunt only at the daytime, but not, in all honesty, we can't ever say never with any of the animals because they all do strange things and they do things whenever they want. So you've always got to be careful. So with the full moon, still a little bit less than a full moon, still being out, it's going to cast lots of light, and all those clouds that we saw earlier, can you believe it? They actually disappeared. So that's going to work in the favor of the dogs. And also, it's nice and cool now. So I think they will take the opportunity when it has been full moon and the moon is in a fuller shape than normal. They will take those opportunities and go out and catch things. So it'll be quite interesting. We've still got some time this evening. We've still got some time to follow them. So hopefully they get on the move rather sooner than later. Now, seeing as though we've been talking about darkness and all these things, you can see everything is in black and white now. That's, of course, because we've got our infrared lights on. And the Night King was, in fact, wondering how good wild dogs' eyesight is. Well, I know lions' eyesight at night is 8 times better than ours. I'm not sure what a wild dog's would be. I'd imagine it would be quite good, much better than ours. So I think they'd be able to handle this themselves in complete darkness very well. There's also another safari vehicle. And we've got our guard dog here, sleeping right next to us, as you can see. This dog decided to come and sleep here. I didn't just drive up to it, even though they are so relaxed they don't move out of the road even when you start the engine. Look at that funny face. Legs all sprawled out, ears flat to the side. I just got whacked by a bug. What bug did it whack me? Let me see if I can find it. Looking very cozy there in the grass. No, I can't find the bug that just whacked me in the face, but it's okay. It was maybe a dung beetle or something. And there's the other one. There we go. That was up initially walking down the road. Now, Something that we see fairly often, in fact, is dogs and cats eating grass. And Stephen, you were wondering exactly that. Do they do that to help them get sick like domestic dogs? Most certainly. And then I was actually reading an interesting article. Some of the grasses that they do feed on, some of the sedges, so the ornamental grasses, contain quite high vitamin D, vitamin A, as well as folic acid. So I'm sure in small doses, they're also getting some form of nutrient to it. But yes, the idea behind, of course, ingesting grasses is to induce vomiting, to help bring up hair, bits of bone that they are unable to digest. So that's the main reason. But I thought it was quite interesting. It was a veterinary article. I actually read it not so long ago, in fact. I was asked a question by a friend of mine, why do the cats specifically eat sedges? And we were trying to figure out if there's some kind of chemical in it, and it seems as though they're apparently quite high in folic acid, vitamin A, and vitamin D, like I said, and I'm sure a few other things too. So in small amounts, it's okay. Obviously, they don't have the necessary digestive aids to break down all that cellulose, so it's not ideal for them, but small amounts is fine. Who else is waking up now? I'm just having a scan. A couple have popped their ears back down again. Our friend over here, looking around. Oh, there's a nice breeze that's just all of a sudden passing through. That will help the dogs when it comes to hunting. Very peaceful. I'm going to just curl up in the grass over there. No, all snuggling back down again. It's so weird, they're up and down. Child of the Universe, great question from you this evening, wondering whether the wild dogs get their kills stolen by many other predators, or do they in fact just eat them so quickly that there's not much of a chance? You answered the question. Always go with your gut. Typically, they eat their kills so fast, they're ravenous. Remember, because unlike, say, a lion, they don't hold on to a massive kill for a few days. They'll catch something smaller, and there's a lot of mouths to feed, normally in a pack of dogs, and so they gobble it up fairly quickly. So I've seen a couple of kills being stolen. I mean, if a pride of lions runs on in, here's the commotion. Of course, the dogs are going to scatter. Hyenas always come through and try and get a mouthful. However, wild dogs are brave. They're not like cheetah, for example, that can get chased off their kill by 10 vultures. So they do stand their ground a little bit more, and they can be a bit of a pain. Like when the hyenas come around and try and steal their kills, or vice versa. If wild dogs find a hyena that's on a kill, they quite happily try and chase it off too and steal it. So just as much as, say, a hyena, or no, what was I going to say there? I can't remember what I was going to say. Anyways, that's all right. We'll just move on. There we go. Another dog up again. Oh, I missed that trot. Look at that. Oh, looking a little bit more lively now. Look at that bouncing through the grass. Oh, listen, listen. Can you hear the whining? It's so high-pitched it almost sounds like bats. No. Oh, man. Normally they do that and they get one another rallied up and they get so excited. But no, not tonight. Okay. What are you going to do? You're very undecided. I wish I could speak wild dog as well. Okay. Well, we'll keep sitting here. We'll keep an eye out on these dogs. We're definitely not going to leave before the show unless the dogs leave us and leave us in a trail of their dust. I think Scott's got the same plan with Hukamuri. He's going to sit there until the show ends. It's quite a nice contrast, don't you think, with the dogs in black and white. I quite like it, in fact, especially when they look at you with those beautiful eyes. Did we ever decide on any other colors that we could describe the eyes of? Sorry, I do remember I asked you that response. Oh, my goodness. Everybody, please listen. Volume's up. That's a sound I've not heard in a long time. I forgot about the fiery neck nightjars. That's so cool. That needs to be my ringtone. I think I'm going to change it immediately. And the pearl-spotted owlet. Or it could be Steve. Maybe I can hear him from camp. Steve, I believe you had everybody fooled. We'll just call you Al from now on. But another dog waking up and sort of moving away from the center of the pack. Sorry, I really enjoyed listening to those sounds for a moment there. Ah, okay, so Steve hasn't been eaten or trampled by Daryl. He's actually sitting in final control, so he'll be happy to know that. And he did a very sarcastic ha laugh. It was a really bad joke. I'm sorry. I'll try better. As Kirsten says, be better. I'll try be better. Come on, doggies. Ah, man, I think I need an award for being so patient. I'm never normally this patient. Now, Richard, we were chatting about this just a little bit earlier, but perhaps you've just jumped on board. So, Richard, just for you, I'll tell you what I said earlier, but you were wondering if wild dogs only hunt during the day or do they hunt at night too? And so they typically sort of crepuscular hunters. So they will hunt during the day, but they'll hunt in the early morning and also later on in the evening, just as the sun's going down. So sort of this last light that we're experiencing now. Obviously, you can't see it because we've got the infrared, so you can see everything clearly. But because we've just had a full moon, it's nice and bright. So there is going to be a lot of light around. There aren't any more clouds around, surprisingly. I thought we were going to have a seriously cloudy day. So they've probably been waiting out the heat, and it's going to be a great time for them to go hunting now. I just hope that they do it before the show ends so that we can follow after them. We're the only ones with them now. Everybody's had to leave because you can't use spotlights on these dogs, but we've got these special infrared lights. So it's really, really, really nice. And it will be something really special to watch wild dogs taking down their prey under the cover of darkness. Again, which is an old wives' tale. We hear that lions don't hunt during the day, they only hunt at night. The same goes for leopards. And then wild dogs and cheetah, we hear they only hunt during the day, they don't hunt at night. But slowly but surely, we're sort of putting a stop to all these old wives' tales. But we're fortunate enough to be able to view them. And that's what's so exciting with these infrared lights, is we see so much more. I believe, thank you very much. You're all saying, well, not all of you, some of you are saying that I do deserve an award for being patient. I know, because, you know, it's one thing sitting with a sleepy lion, but I have not seen wild dogs for a very, 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 very long time. And I also don't know when I'm going to see them again. And because their species is diminishing, I think it's very, very important to spend every minute, every second, every hour you can with these special, special creatures, especially on a day like World Wildlife Day. I think it's important to appreciate some of the most intelligent, hard-working social creatures out there, and that's, of course, the ones we're looking at right now. So I hope that you have enjoyed spending all the time with them just as much as I have, but we've still got a bit of time. Come on, dogs, you can do it. You can get up. Even if you chase a scrub hare, we'll be so excited. I wouldn't mind if the scrub hare actually gave the dogs a run for their money and got away. That's quite funny, and that's always quite nice to see, in fact, because every now and then when the prey gets away from the predator. Look at those big ears. This is so incredible. And then to hear those sounds, to hear the fiery neck nightjar, to hear the pearl-spotted owlet. Wow. We are super privileged, right? I think Scott is on the move now. I'm not sure where he's going to, but he's yielding his spotlight like a lightsaber. Almost forgot what I was going to say there. Let's go and see if he can do any nifty tricks with it. That you managed to find a baby chameleon, a chameleon knit. Very nice indeed. Well, I don't know about all of you, but it's been absolutely amazing out here, spending 3 total hours with these dogs. I barely moved today. I haven't used any fuel whatsoever. How fantastic. But I hope that you have enjoyed it just as much as I have and Senzor has. Let's keep our fingers crossed that the dogs are going to be here in the morning. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Keep an eye out on that damn cam for us, please. And if you do see anything interesting, use the hashtag Safari Live. Use it as many times as you need to. Get our attentions, tag us. But we'll go looking for them. But thank you again for joining us. Remember, the Sunrise Safari tomorrow morning. We look forward to seeing you all then. Have a good night.